Hello and welcome to the Vlogging Pod. Tonight we are joined by award-winning romance author Liz Crowe. Yay! Welcome, Liz. How are you this evening?
I'm great. How are you this evening?
I am good. I am awesome.
Good.
Always things can be better. The air conditioning can be stronger, but we'll go with what we got.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's hot. It's the middle of the summer.
I know.
I mean, what are you going to do?
Drinks by the pool could be stronger, but we'll go with what we got.
Always, yes.
So I want to start right off and let me start my timer because we do 20 minutes. Let me do that. Let me get that going. There we go. If we go over a little bit, it's okay. But let's start right off by talking about sexy books that are set in breweries. Tell me how all this came about.
Well, I used to own a brewery, and I founded it actually back in the early days, sort of the salad days of craft beer, when it wasn't quite as crowded as it is now, 2008. And I spent a lot of time and energy getting that thing off the ground. I did all the marketing and sales. All this stuff, and we didn't have any money, so I'm using social media and newsletters like crazy. And this again was back in the salad days of social media and email newsletters, and people actually paid attention to them. And so I used that, and we got, we took off, and it was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot. I didn't know diddly squat about beer, but I learned it, and I don't know, it was just inspiring to me. It was a fun setting, and I just thought, well, I'd like to read. I would like to read something set in a brewery with the proper brewery terms and things that are correct, but also be a relationship story. So I wrote a bunch of them.
Okay. So now you started a brewery, but that was a past tense, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I'm no longer with them. Nope. It wasn't a pretty ending either. And I did channel that a bit into my most recent brewery romance, what happened in Denver. So yeah, I was with them from 2008 till 2015, 16, and when we parted ways at their request. So
wow.
There you go. Yeah, it was bad. It was a bunch of dudes, and they didn't care for me being all of a sudden the face of the place, I guess. And so the brewer in particular didn't care for that. The young man, who's also since left the place. So, it was, it was not a pretty story. And like I said, I kind of channeled some of that frustration energy into the setup for my most recent one, What Happens in Denver, which is about a woman who helped start a brewery with her husband this time. And I kind of did it that way on purpose because my two partners were men and they were not my husband. But when we broke up, it felt like a divorce.
Oh, so, yeah. Well, I'm all about women empowerment, so you go, girl.
Yeah. Thanks. And it's and it's weird, it's funny, and this is a tangent, but there's a lot more awareness about how sexist the industry is now. Yeah. And there's a lot more. It's a lot less about, oh, it's cute, craft beer, yay. It's more about, oh yeah, so there's so many craft breweries who are run by toxic dudes. Yeah. I'm like, oh, I was 10 years a little too late for that, I guess, but there you go. Or ahead of my time. Maybe that's how I should look at it.
Yeah, that's how you should phrase it. I'm ahead of my time. Or you are a trendsetter. Think of it that way.
I am definitely.
Because I'm sure that some woman is going to come along and master that even more. So with the brewery, let's talk about a beer winch. Explain to me, from some of the stuff I looked up on you, for a while you had Beer Winch as your presence for online. Tell me how that went.
I did, and it was my partner's idea. So I went with it, and it was a lot of fun. And I actually had a really successful beer blog that dealt with sort of charting my progress in the business from total rookie status in beer to basically expert, a cicerone. And so I called myself the Beer Winch, and that was fun.
Nice.
And that was their idea.
Well,
and I kind of went with it.
I hope I'm not diving into a sore issue on the beer on the brewery.
No, not at all. And I look back on that, but no, it's not. I mean, I'm past it. Okay. I'm not over it. I'll never get over it, but I'm past it. And It was good.
we never get over those big
No.
impacts where as women we're not given an opportunity. I don't think
Yeah.
you never
Right.
get over that,
Right.
but we overcome it
No.
and we conquer it
No.
and
Yeah.
we do it way
Yep.
better. I'm just saying.
Well, I'd like to think that, and but the business is still not there. The industry is still has some problems. Racism, sexism, the whole bucket.
Yeah.
But it was a pivotal part of my career. I learned
Hmm.
so much, and I did make some good friends in it, and that I've kept. Which is great. All of them were women. Um, and I've written a lot. I've written a lot of those women into the books. Those strong women
Yes.
who overcame, kind of, I guess. And but yeah, Beer Winch was cool. I enjoyed being Beer Winch. My kids were the Winchlings their whole like high school lives. I would refer to them that way. And I was a minor celebrity, I think, in my tiny little town. With
Right.
that, people would come to the brewery because they wanted to meet the Beer Winch, and so I was there a lot. Um, and I sacrificed a lot to
Right.
make that place successful. And like I said, I was finally able to channel that into my most recent book. I wasn't really able to write about it because I just couldn't go there yet.
Right.
Um, but I did. And this book, this What Happens in Denver book, has been absolutely one of my best selling books so far.
Nice. See, you turned
Yeah.
something negative into something very strong and positive, which basically, I'm going to be a little sexist myself, but as women, we seem to do. Just
We
saying.
do, though. We do. But a
Nothing
lot of it is, I
against.
mean, what's your option, right?
Right.
What
Well,
are the
nothing
options?
against men. I don't want to. I don't want to men bash, but
Hmm.
I mean, I can only speak about my own sex. I can only speak what I know for myself,
Yeah.
And
Right.
I know
Right.
that usually for me, when I am pushed against something or someone tells me I cannot do something, that is when I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
don't tell me what I can or cannot do. you know?
Right. Oh
So,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. I feel that. Yep. So yeah, the Beer Winch was she was fun, and she had her own like T-shirts and stuff.
right.
But as part of the pushing me out thing that they did, or instigated by this young man brewer, was to make that all of a sudden be, "Ah, we would never. That's sexist. That's terrible. We would never." And I'm like, this was your idea, but okay,
Right.
you know. So they basically did a partnership squeeze on me. They wanted me to pony up money, and I never agreed to do money. My investment was my time
Right.
without a paycheck.
Well,
So yeah,
your work isn't just about the breweries. I mean, you have such a vast amount of books to your name. I mean, since your
I
brewery time.
do.
I mean, the brewery might be
Yeah.
an instigator and pushed you to something a little bit more. Well, let's just say I'm just gonna put this out there, more profitable, because
Right. Yeah. Without a doubt. Without a
yeah,
doubt.
I
Yeah.
mean, because looking at you on Amazon and everywhere else that you're posted, I mean, come on. They are probably wishing they had kept you. So tell me about how many we're up to right now as far as the books, because they are vast.
They are. I counted, and it is 30. Let's see, 37, I think,
37.
total, that are available in some form or another. Um, Total books I've written though is closer to 60. A lot of stuff has been pulled because it was just garbage, and I recognize that now. And then I've got several things that I'm working on, still. Um, but yeah, right now it's about 37, I think, and that's between regular ebooks and Radish writing, those that outlet,
Yeah.
and some other stuff. So yeah.
Huh, Radish. Now tell me what Radish is.
Oh, you don't know, Radish is cool. Radish is
Oh,
a reading app, and it's
okay.
one of those pay by the chapter deals.
Oh, all right.
You know,
Okay.
Yeah, so you pay coins and you buy coins. It's
Oh,
one of the early
okay.
iterations of that. There's a bazillion of them now.
Now
And
Amazon has a little bit of that.
yeah, Vellum,
I actually have
right?
two
Yeah,
out there on that. So yeah.
yeah, same thing. It's
Oh,
a
cool.
same concept. Yeah,
Nice.
and Radish was kind of an early. Radish was like really, I think, the first one to do it. And you had to apply. You had to like submit something to get accepted and yada yada. Once you're in, you can do whatever you want on there. So I've got like a whole bunch of stuff on there, kind of just things that I may have submitted around and didn't have any luck with, or didn't feel like it fit with anything else I was doing,
Uh-huh.
And I have pulled a bunch of stuff from there too, to polish up and change and republish in a more traditional way. So,
Nice. Well, I'm just making notes right over here.
hmm here's
So,
another platform, and it's one of the reasons I'm not doing Vellum because I've already
right,
got Radish. You know what I mean? I just
right.
don't feel like I need to spread it that thin.
Well, and I'm sure that people, once they've seen your books, are looking you up on all kinds of medium. So I don't, you know what I mean? I don't question that at all because
Yeah,
you are extremely successful in what you're doing. You have an intense collection of books under your name to choose from. However, for the moment, let's take a trip back in time, if you would, with me, and let's talk about
sure.
Tulip Princess, a one night stand
Mm,
sister series. I
mm,
believe,
mm-hmm.
yeah, I believe this is the first in the series. Tell me if I'm correct.
Nope,
Okay, it's not.
it's not. Nope.
Okay, what number is
It
that one?
is. Let's see. Gosh, let me think. So, Turkish Delight is the first one,
Okay,
and then Blue Cruise, and then Tulip Princess.
okay,
Those were fun. Those were some of the earliest books I ever got published.
nice. Well, tell
And
me.
that was like when you're in that like fresh, dewy eyed, fresh faced, like, oh my god, I did it kind of place.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I'm a little I'm jaded and cynical now, but I still loved writing those books. Those were such fun books to write.
Those are the
And because I
times
lived in
when
Istanbul, so
those are the
yeah,
times when you say, "But my mom likes it."
yeah,
Yeah.
those early, early
Yeah,
days.
yeah,
And
yeah.
unfortunately, my mom does not like anything I write, so there, I can't
Okay,
say that.
got ya.
But too much sex.
Too much sex.
But though I remember, yeah. So Tulip Princess. So I lived in Istanbul for a couple years, and I tend to write things that I know. I feel more comfortable doing that, I think.
Okay.
And so I used my experiences, and that's an incredible city. I'm not, and I tried to capture that a little bit
Okay.
by making kind of fish out of water stories. Every book in that series has a expat person and a Turkish person in a relationship. So
Okay.
the first two are an American person and a Turkish person, and then the Tulip Princess is actually a Turkish person and a Greek expat. So
All right.
yeah,
When you say I typically like to write what I know, hmm, you write some pretty hot romances. So,
I do, I do.
okay. All right. So I let myself do my imagination.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I write what I know. I guess a better way to say it is I've set books in places I know.
Okay.
I don't, you know what I mean? And I've been a lot of places, luckily for me. Like I haven't even touched. I lived in Japan. I lived in England. I've been all over. But I grew up in Kentucky. I went to the University of Louisville, so I just released a book about the Kentucky Derby, which I've been to a
Nice.
lot of times. So I take a setting that I know, or a situation, or an industry that I know, like real estate
Okay.
or beer, and then I make sexy stories out of that
Right. Now you just mentioned
with
real
my
estate.
imagination.
You just mentioned real estate. You just mentioned real estate. So that is your newest career, yes?
No,
No.
that was my longest
Oh,
career.
longest. All
Um,
right.
I sold real estate in the late '90s, and then we went overseas in '97 and came back in 2004. And so I didn't work during those years, obviously, but then I sold real estate from 2004 till 2019.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I know that's the one I know the best, I guess. And so my series, the Stewart Realty series, the Stewart Realty series is my best, longest selling, most successful series, and got me all my original sort of hardcore fans.
Nice.
Yeah, and so I've recently revamped it. I've been putting some energy into it. I'm adding to it, um, and I rejiggered some of it. I went back and revised them, cleaned them up, kind of modernized them because they're old. I mean, I guess by book standards, they're old. They came out in starting in 2011, I guess.
Okay.
And first iteration, if you will, they've since been updated twice. And then this most recent update, I got the rights back from the publisher, and so and I'm doing a bunch of stuff with them. I put them in Kindle Unlimited, updated a bunch of stuff, like I said, and I'm adding to them. actively adding to them.
So when you talk about you like to write about things you know, and you like to say you basically the places you like to write about places you've been, and that's been pretty
Hmm.
extensive, yes.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
so tell me
Hmm.
what is the place that comes to the mind the quickest, that is the most colorful, that you choose to write about? What is the one that you can think of right off the top of your head?
Istanbul.
Istanbul. Now, why is that?
Yeah. It's an amazing city, and it's almost hard to describe. Like even when you're with as a tourist there, it's overwhelming. Um, and my experience of it was different in that I lived there, right? And I had three kids, and I had to get them to school, and I had to shop for groceries, and I had to, function, live my life, right? Which is a different way of experiencing it. And so I got to make some friends who were natives, and they showed me the city, right? And it's just I'm a sucker for history, and you can't get much more historical a city than Istanbul,
Yeah.
because it has gone through so many. It was Roman Empire, it was the Ottoman Empire, and it's just got literally layer upon layer. Like there's a place you can go. This is in one of my books too. The Cistern. It's a tourist place, but it's legit old cistern where they built it. The Ottomans built it up by kind of roaming around in the countryside of Turkey and just finding random uh, broken down temples and stuff
Mm-hmm.
from early times, and using those things to prop up this cistern, this underground container of water, right?
Right.
Um, and so in it, there's like a head of a goddess, like that you see on a statue. I mean, it's just crazy, And I'm that's my catnip. I love history. I love all that kind of stuff.
It sounds
And I've
like
never
it's.
written and that's funny. I don't write historical romance. I think for a reason, just because I don't want to. I don't know. I feel like I'm better at contemporary stuff, but I do love history. And Istanbul is. I would used to say to people, you'd get up in the morning, and we lived in on the European side, because I don't know if you know, Europe. Istanbul straddles two continents, the
Okay.
city, right? Because the Bosporus Straits divide Asia and Europe. Most of Turkey is in Asia, but part of it is in Europe, because part of Istanbul is in Europe, the
Mm-hmm.
oldest part of Istanbul.
Okay.
And we lived on the European side, which is just teeming with people. And, just an amazing, and you'd get up in the morning and I would think, okay, which day is it? It's going to be one of those horrible, frustrating Istanbul days, or is it going to be one of those magical, incredible, I can't believe I get to live here Istanbul days? Because those, I toggled between those two things.
Nice.
Because it could be so frustrating and incredible all at the same time.
Well, I can see where you could pull a lot from that for your books. So I want
Yeah.
to point out to our listeners that currently you have the Stewart Reality series. It's now available free on Kindle Unlimited, sorry, or
Yep.
on
Yep.
sale for only 99 cents. Most books for a
Yeah.
limited time. So if you guys are
Yep.
interested, please go check it out. She has an extensive library, and then speaking of your work, tell me about Rough Around the Edges, a limited edition releasing August 2022. So tell me what's coming
Yep.
up.
So this is a super cool anthology, and I got into it because I am a digital marketing consultant for an animal shelter, and I used to work hands-on in it, but I did events and fundraising. But then I moved away from it, and they wanted to keep me on to do all of their digital fundraising. But I'm a sucker for animals and rescue, right?
Yes.
So when I heard about this anthology, which is the theme of it is hot dudes with little dogs, little like Chihuahua dogs, you know. And so I'm like, oh, I'm in on that. So I wrote my novella. Part of it is called Top Dog, and it is about a man who rescues a tiny little almost frozen and starving to death Chihuahua, brings it to a animal shelter as he's passing through from the East Coast to the West Coast, because he found it at his he has a camper, and he was not rough camping, but camping in his camper. And
Right.
he found this dog. His big giant Rottweiler dog found this dog, and so they go to the Humane Society on December 23rd and get snowed in at the Humane Society with a woman who's volunteering because she has no life other than to help animals.
Well, I'm a sucker for dogs, so you
And,
know.
oh man, so that was so fun to write. It's my first sort of shelter base. I have dogs. I have dogs and cats in some of my books, not all of them. which is odd. And I think about that now because I have four animals in my house, two dogs and two cats, all rescue. But yeah, this is my first time setting something in a shelter, and that was fun. And so it's a novella. I mean, it's about, I don't know, 26,000 words or so. And so rough around the edges, every book in it has to have something about a guy and a little dog, like a dog that you wouldn't think a big dude would have, right?
Right.
So, and it's coming out August 15th. You can pre-order it right now.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be fun. I think I'm doing another one with this group, a zookeeper anthology, something about zoos. So yeah, I got to come up with something
So
about a zoo, which will be fun.
do a certain amount of the proceeds go to help the
Not for
organization?
this one.
Okay.
No, not for this one. No, and I'm not an organizer, so I can't speak to that.
Okay.
But no, not that. This is not a fundraiser. I'm in a bunch of fundraising ones, but this is not one of them.
Okay. Well, you are more than welcome to come back with. Oh, hold on. Let me get my timer. There we go. Sorry, I didn't stop that before it buzzed.
Okay.
But I would more than welcome you guys to come back when you're doing the fundraiser. I would love to help in any way I can.
Oh, cool. Okay,
So
great.
if you would love to
Awesome.
do that for the
Thanks.
platform and push the books for whatever you're doing, if you're doing that, I don't want to push that on you. But if something
No,
like
that's
that
okay.
comes along,
That's okay.
I would more than welcome open that. Um,
Oh, fun. Okay.
so, and but just so people know, because we can't see here on the audio part of it, the book cover for Rough Around the Edges is pretty hot. The guy holding the dog. I just put that out there.
Little tiny dog though,
Yeah,
right?
well,
It's cute.
tiny dog, but the guy's really big and hot, so I'll just put that out there too.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the hook, right? It had to have that, which
Well,
I thought,
yeah.
okay, that's a challenge. I'll take that challenge.
I'd love to say it was sensible of me that it was the cute dog that pulled me in, but
Yeah, well,
Right, right. For my last question tonight, with such an incredible life at your fingertips and everything that you have done and accomplished, which has been vast, probably more than we even talked about here on the program tonight. I want to hear what's going to be next. What's coming next for you?
What's coming next right now is I'm adding to the Stewart Realty series. I'm adding a couple of sort of affiliated novels. Like they won't affect the timeline. Like the books that you see online, books 1 through 8, are kind of straight through the origin trilogy, and then all the stories that are about the friends and family affiliated with the sort of anchor couple, if you will.
Uh-huh.
But I'm adding affiliate stories because I just have some other stories I want to tell about people in real estate. So I've got those. One of them is called Appraised, and it's going to be a freebie to my newsletter subscribers. And so I'm getting that all formatted and ready to go. But it's a full-length novel. It's 50,000 words, contemporary romance. And then it's got a follow-up. It's kind of a duet, these two. So I'm going to finish those up. They're already written, but I'm polishing them both. Once that's done, I've got a couple of novellas that I'm going to put out for this series. This is one of those series that I had an author and I were talking about this once. Do you ever write a world that you just can't stop writing in? I'm like, yeah, that would be the Stewart Realty
Yeah,
series.
right.
I just can't stop, right? I just live in this world. You know what I mean? I just love it. And so I came up with a whole series of, I call them deleted scenes,
Uh-huh.
and for a while when I was actively promoting its release, back when I was actually still doing the brewery stuff, I don't know how I did all this. Don't ask me how. I don't know. But I was writing all these deleted scenes and feeding them to just fans, like throwing them out there on my fan page and whatever. And so I pulled them all back in, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to do something with these. So I'm going to flesh some of those out, so to speak, into novellas and do that. But then in 2024, I have a couple of books. I've got a thriller novel that I have written 100%. It's about 100,000 words. Kind of a sexy thriller, not a romantic suspense. It's not a romance, but it's a pretty kind of an erotic thriller, if you will.
Okay.
But I'm working with a manuscript developer on it, and I hope to get that out. I'll be querying that. I want to see if I can't find an agent or somebody for that part. And then I've got this fun. What Happens in Denver has been so popular with people, and I think it's because I wrote it in first person as chick lit, kind of funny, humorous, self-deprecating, from her perspective, only like a typical rom-com. Most rom-coms, by definition, only have one point of view, and I usually write contemporary romance back and forth, right, his and hers,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm fine with that. But I rewrote this one as a chick lit and it's been super successful. And I'm finding a lot of new readers with it. So I'm going to write another fish out of water story, kind of like it, because that's what this one is.
Nice.
Like someone who's picked up and plopped down in a totally new to them situation, and then as kind of defines romance as a side bonus, as a side bonus of their personal growth, let's say.
Nice. It seems like you got your hands full then.
Yeah, always, always. Can't stop, won't stop. I am having surgery on Tuesday, and so and I'm
Oh
going to
my
be really flat on my
gosh.
backside for about 6 weeks.
Oh,
So I'm like, okay, look at all that writing time. Look at that.
well, you will be writing a lot. I want to thank you so much, Liz, for being on with us tonight.
Of
Um,
course, thanks for having me. Sorry for the glitch.
no, no, you're fine. I'd love to have you back, especially if you do choose to do the fundraiser. Not that you have to, I'm just saying, if you do, I'd love to
Yeah,
have
yeah,
you
yeah,
back in
sure.
either capacity because you are enchanting.
Okay.
And I think we didn't even dive nearly. I mean, we should actually pick one area that you've lived in for once for a 20-minute
Right.
broadcast so we could
Because I
dive
could talk
deeper.
about Japan. I could talk to you about Japan for a while too.
Well,
So.
yeah, that's what. But maybe we should do that. I'm booking for next year now. I've been booked this year for a couple of months now, but I would
Right.
love to have you back. Truly, you are
I'd happily come back. I would love to come back.
wonderful. Then let's work on something like that. I want to thank you so much for being on tonight. Thank you so much, my audience. I have to tell you, we have over 27 people on Wisdom right now listening to you. We have over
Oh,
6 in the
sweet.
room, and I'm not quite sure on the YouTube side. However, thank you so much, listeners, for coming in. I also want to take just one moment, and I'd love to wish my husband happy anniversary. We are celebrating 30 years today, and so I just want you to know I love you very much. Thank you for giving me 30 years. Until next time, everyone, bye bye for now.